Hello everyone, welcome to the third part of this DevOps series where I'm covering the real world projects that you can do to enhance your cloud skills or DevOps skills beyond certifications. So in the last tutorial, we looked at Terraform and we deployed a global web service using Terraform. Now in this video, what we will do is we'll take this code, whatever we wrote in the last video, and we will automate the entire Terraform init, plan, apply the commands that we wrote last time using GitHub Actions. So from the last video, I have gone ahead and then destroyed all the resources. So it's a clean slate and I'm starting everything from scratch. So whatever resources that I created in the last video, those are already deleted. So I will create those resources again, but this time I'll not manually type Terraform apply and then create those resources. This time the GitHub Actions pipeline will do it for us. Now, in the first two projects, as I mentioned, we build a global web service. So this one we started with Google Cloud and we deployed it manually by clicking buttons in the Cloud console, and then we automated everything using Terraform. Now we are taking that code and then deploying it with a CI/CD tool. If you haven't watched the previous two videos, I highly recommend to watch the previous two videos because this video builds on top of them. But if you are already very comfortable with cloud concepts and infrastructure concepts and Terraform in general, then you can directly start with this video where we will take a look into building CI/CD pipelines using GitHub Actions. Now, when I wrote this article, I used Jenkins as an example, but in this particular video, what I'll do is I'll use GitHub Actions as the CI/CD tool to deploy our infrastructure that we deployed last time, but through the our CLI. And in this video, I'll not explain you what all this code does, but rather I will explain how to automate this using a CI/CD tool, in this case GitHub Actions, to deploy it seamlessly. Okay, so before we dive right into creating the GitHub repo, committing our changes, and then pushing it, building the pipelines, let's go ahead and then understand what we will be doing. So this is a very rough diagram that I have built to explain what we are going to develop today. And it's a very good idea to create a rough diagrams like this because they will give you a good understanding of what you're trying to achieve, right? Because if you just go ahead and then start doing things, it becomes a little bit difficult to understand what you are trying to achieve as an end goal. So basically what we are trying to do here is there will be a developer, and whenever they want to commit any change to GitHub or any Git version control repository, then they will raise a feature branch from the main branch, because we have to restrict the main branch and it's a good practice to not directly commit to the main branch. And they will do their changes, modify the code, and then raise a pull request, right? And merge request if you are using GitLab. And whenever this pull request will be raised, then our pipeline should be triggered and then Terraform init and plan should run. Now, why we want to do this? Because the approver or the reviewer who is looking at the code, they should be able to know that, okay, what output Terraform plan has generated, right? In order to understand that which resources will be deployed and whether what is going to be destroyed, created, etc. Right? That's why we are triggering this particular pipeline. And once the reviewer and approver is fine with the plan, the output, etc., they will approve it, and then the developer will merge to main. Then another pipeline will be triggered, and here it will be init, planned, and apply. And here the actual resources will be deployed to Google Cloud, right? And if they review and find some comments that needs to be changed, then the developer will again go ahead and make those changes in their code, right? If something is not approved. So that's the general idea. And here I'm assuming that you are comfortable with Git concepts, like what is a pull request, how to create a new branch from a main branch, how to commit your changes, how to merge, etc., right? So that's what I'm assuming here, that you are comfortable with Git, Terraform, and Google Cloud in general. Now, I'm not asking you to be an expert in any of these, but a general basic understanding, because this video series that I'm building, it's beyond certifications, right? So I am assuming that you already have some basic understanding of cloud, of Terraform, and Git principles in general, right? So so this is the general idea. Now let's go ahead and start with GitHub. So what I'll do is I'll create a new repository. So from the previous video, this is the repo which I'm using to put all the artifacts of this tutorial series. Now here I'll add that code that I'm generating today, but just for this demonstration purpose, I'll create a altogether separate repo just for Terraform, right? And name this Terraform CI/CD. I'll leave the description as blank, and then I'll just hit create repository, and this is a public repo. Now what I'll do is I'll now initialize my local repository here, and then I will do git init. And what I've done here is I've already gone ahead and then copied all the code that was there in the other repo and the code that we saw last time. So we are trying to replicate the entire code over here, right? So here I'll just do git branch -m main, right? And then I'll add git remote add origin and the name of my repo. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll quickly add the readme file as the first file here, and for starters what I'll do is I'll just commit this file to main. Okay, and then I'll do git push. Okay, now this is done. If I quickly do a refresh here, what I'll see is the readme document over here. So far so good. Now what I'll do is, since this is done and the repository is initialized, I will go ahead and then secure this repo a little bit so that no one is able to directly push to the main branch, right? So I'll go to branches and add branch rule set, and I'll say protect main, and I will say enforcement status is active here, and then branch targeting criteria will be include default branch, and the default branch is main here for us. And then I will do require a pull request before merging, right? And then I'll remove this, and here I'll say 1, right? Now I can do a lot more things like require review from code owners, require conversation resolution before merging, etc, etc, but I'll not do that. So far I think this should be okay, and I'll just do create. Now no one will be able to merge to main now, right? So if I let me do some changes in my readme.md, let's say I change something here. Let's remove this for now, save the file, and git add readme again. Let's commit it. And now if I try to push, this should result in an error, right? Remote rejected. So this is what we needed. So ideally what you should do is you should create a new branch, and we do that by doing a git checkout -b and then name a branch, right? So let me name this branch dev. Now this is done. Now what I'll do is I will quickly check the status, and our readme is already committed. Now I'll push to the dev branch rather than the main branch. -u origin dev. So now this push to dev, and if I go here, code, and here dev has recent pushes 6 seconds ago, compare and pull request, modify readme, looks good. Let's create a pull request, and this looks okay to me. This was removed. Now if I go ahead and then try to approve this, I'll not be able to approve this using my ID, right? Because pull request authors can't approve their own pull request, right? So one thing what I'll have to do is I'll have to go into settings, collaborators, and I have to add one more collaborator so that I can show you this entire flow that is here. So I'll go ahead and then add people, and I will add my other ID that I have, which is this, and I'll add this to the repo. Okay, now this pending invite, what I'll do from my different account is I will accept this invitation, accept it, and now this is done, right? So if I refresh, this is accepted, right? No more pending invite. Now here the pull request, right? What I'll do is I'll go here, and from my other profile, what I'll do is I will quickly go ahead and then approve this PR, and I will say LGTM, right? Looks good to me. Submit. Now as soon as I do that, you can see that I got an approval from my different account, and then I can do a merge pull request, right? So this is the entire process that I wanted to show you. Now no pipelines got triggered because I haven't set one, But if I now come here, you will see that that interstellar theme that we removed was gone. Now let's go ahead and then start working on our changes, right? So I'll come to my VS Code over here, and then this is the entire code, but I'll create a new folder called .github, and inside GitHub workflows, right? And inside that, I'll create a Terraform.dml, which is where our code will be there for the entire CI/CD process. Let me first go ahead and then copy the code over here. So let me explain this code to you. So basically what we are doing here is we are telling the pipeline to run whenever there's a push to main branch and whenever there's a pull request to the main branch, right? So if you look at the diagram over here that we created, there are two triggers, and one was on raising a pull request to main, and then another one to merge the pull request to main, right? So that's what we are setting here using the on directive. Now I'm setting the region over here. We can set multiple environment variables over here, right? And after that, this is the main section, the job section. This is where we are defining the entire steps that we need whenever a particular trigger is coming into action, right? So first is Terraform plan, and we are saying that whenever there's a pull request, right, then do these steps, right? So the first step is check out the code, authenticate to Google Cloud, and I'll set this up, right? But here we are authenticating to Google Cloud because GitHub needs some kind of identity credentials to communicate to Google Cloud, right? So in the last video, I used my credential, my user credentials, and I did gcloud auth application default login, which you can see in the readme section as well, right? And that's how I was able to log in and then run Terraform init plan and apply, right? So this was the command that I used. Now that was my credentials, but now I'm doing sort of system to system communications here, right? So I need some kind of service account over here. So a service account basically are used for system to system communication inside Google Cloud, and I'll create a service account and then use the JSON keys, place it in a secret, and then that will be used to authenticate to Google Cloud, right? And then here what I'm doing is init and then plan, right? And the plan outputs I'm storing in TF plan. Now this is what I'm doing, right? Whenever there's a pull request, now once that pull request is approved after reviewing, it will be merged to main. Then here you can see we are running a Terraform apply, and this is the condition for it. So whenever it is pushed to main, right, then do this. So basically again we are authenticating to Google Cloud, and then we are doing init, plan, and then apply, right? Now one thing to note here is I am saving the output of the plan, which is always the good idea, because in a setting where there are multiple developers, there are very frequent changes happening to the same repo, right? And it might happen that if you just do a Terraform plan and there's another developer who does a commit and their commit was approved before your commit, even though you raised it first, then your plan will differ significantly than that other person, right? Because their changes already went in. So there's always a risk of drifting there. So whatever plans that you saw might not be what the actual that will be applied, right? So it's always a good idea to save the plan and then use it to do a Terraform apply. So that's what we are doing here. Now let's go ahead and then start working on this particular thing by committing. And before that, let's go ahead and then create our credentials. So I'll go to my Google Cloud Console over here, go to IAM, and then I'll go to service accounts. And then here what I'll do is I'll create a new service account called GitHub Actions Terraform. Okay, and I'll do create and continue and grant this service account some access to project. And here what I'll do is I can grant some basic permissions, but I'll not do that. I'll go ahead and then grant it the permissions that I need. But again, you have to follow the principle of least privileges here. So I'll assign it compute instance admin for now. I know it's not a best practice, but this is a demo and I'm okay with it, right? And then I will assign network admin because it is creating VPCs, etc. And then I'll also assign storage object admin, and it because we are creating a storage object and then storing our code there. And then I'll assign DNS admin because We are creating an A record and security admin. And let me do this. I'll add a bunch of roles and then explain it to you later. Okay, so I've given all the permissions that is needed, right? I could have given owner and then be done with it, but I just want to show you that it's always a good idea to give specific permissions. Now, again, I've not given very specific permissions here. I've given admin everywhere, which is also not a good practice. But just for simplicity, I think this is good enough, right? And I've given this service account all the permission it needs to create all the resources that are over here, right? Network admin, compute admin, DNS admin, etc., right? So once that is done, I'll click continue and then I will click on done. Now, once this is done, what I'll do is I'll go to GitHub Actions Terraform that we just created. So here it says no keys. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and then create a key. Now, again, we try to limit the use of these JSON keys as much as possible. There's another way to do the authentication called workload identity federation, but that's a little bit complex than this setting that I'm showing over here. But let me know if you're interested to know more about workload identity federation. But you can read it about that. I will leave a link of that particular concept in the description below. Do check it out. So now I have downloaded the key. It's there, right? And I'll use this key and create a secret. So let me go to settings and then I'll go to secrets, actions. So what I'll do here is I'll create a new repository secret and then I'll name it GCP credentials and then paste my JSON key over here and then add secret. So this is done. Now whenever the pipeline will run, it will make sure that it uses this particular secret. So that's done. Now let's go to our terraform.yaml, right? And I think apart from this, we are not using any other secrets. And then let's go ahead and then do git status and then add the entire code that we have over here. I'll use a dot here, which is not a good practice, but I wanted to add everything. And let's do a git commit -m and then add Terraform code for global web service. And then I'll do a git push to dev. Awesome. So this is pushed. If I go to GitHub again, to code, I'll go to dev branch. You'll see that all the files are pushed over here now, right? So that's good. And now what I'll do is I'll go to pull request and then I'll do new pull request and then dev to main. And these are all the files that we have changed. So let me create a pull request and then let's see what happens next. So basically it's saying review required. At least one approving review is required by reviewers to write access. Yes, that's what we did, which was the protect the main branch. This will do, but I will only approve this through my other ID once the Terraform plan succeeds and I am satisfied with the result, right? So as we can see, Terraform plan is succeeded and this particular thing is skipped because it didn't satisfy the constraint of merge. And that's what we looked here, right? So this was skipped because this constraint was not satisfied, right? So it's not a push to main. So that's why Terraform apply was skipped. Only Terraform plan ran and that to init and plan. So let's go here. Let me go to actions and let's see the output, right? So if I go here and then let me go to the Terraform plan and let's look at the output. Awesome. Okay, so this is our Terraform plan output and we are saving the output in our TF plan as an artifact. Now you'll see that we are adding all the firewall rules, we are creating a Google Compute instance template, and then we are using that template to create an instance group, and then we are creating a backend service, and the backend we are creating CPU utilization as the autoscaling criteria. We are creating the load balancer, health checks, etc., 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 right? So all those things I'll not repeat again because in the previous video I have shown and dived in much deeper depth of this one. So I'll just go ahead and then say, okay, there are 27 things to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy, which is good. And then I'm saving the Terraform plan in TF plan, right? That was the upload artifact. So I am satisfied. Now what I'll do from my other ID is I'll go ahead and then approve this particular PR as well. All right. So let me go to PR and you'll see the changes here once I go ahead from my other ID, and then I will go to files changed, review changes. This I'm doing in my other screen, but I am just doing a standard review and approval. So now I have given my LGTM from my other ID, as you can see, Sam Priyadarshi-2, and LGTM, all checks look good. Now let me merge this pull request. Confirm merge. Awesome. So this is done. Now, if I go to GitHub Actions again, this time the Terraform plan was skipped because now we are doing the merge. So as you can see here, we are doing a merge to main, and the Terraform apply is running now. So it will do an init plan and then it will do an apply. So let's go here and we can see that it has started creating those 27 resources. So this can take up to 5 minutes, and in the previous video also it took close to 5 minutes. So let's wait until this is done, and then once this is done we'll get back shortly. Okay, so we are seeing that the creation of firewall rules and the SSL certificates are failing over here. Now, these things can occur when you're working on developing a fully fledged CI/CD pipeline. So most of these issues, as you see, these are permission issues. So let's go ahead and fix these. And I think this is a good segue as well to show you some kind of debugging that we do on a day-to-day basis as a DevOps engineer, right? Because the whole idea of this entire series is to give you an idea of what a day-to-day role looks like, etc. Right? So I think the error was I gave a security admin role, but I had to give compute security admin because the compute security admin has the access to create managed SSL certificates and the firewall rules. Now, if you want to learn more about these, what you can do is you can go to predefined IAM roles for Google Cloud, and you can get a list of all the roles that are there, the basic roles and the predefined roles, and you can get into detail the permissions that are there for each and every role, right? So if I just quickly search for compute security admin, and you'll see this, right? And here you'll see that the firewalls are there, and then the managed SSL will also be there, which is this one. Okay, now we have fixed the permission issues. What we can do is we can go here and then rerun the jobs. And what this will do is it will go ahead and then run the Terraform apply again. And here the thing is this will complete much sooner because in the previous Terraform apply, it has already created most of these resources like the instance template, the instance groups, the load balancers, etc. Right? So this is where it will just create the 7 resources. So as you can see, 7 to add, 2 to change. So it is going ahead and then creating the firewalls, the autoscalers, and the SSL certificates. So let's wait and then come back once this is all provisioned successfully. Okay, so good news this time. Apply completed, 7 resources added, and these resources were left from the previous apply which failed because of the firewall rules permissions and the SSL certificates permission not being present to the service account. So that's done. Now let's go to the console. I'll go to the load balancer because I think the instance template and everything will be there. And the thing which takes time is the load balancer. So I'll go to this interstellar URL map, and you will be familiar with this name from the previous video because we created it using the Terraform. But if I go to certificates, and here this is in provisioning state. Now, as I have said this multiple times, this will take some time. It can take close to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, in some cases even an hour. So this will take some time, and if we go to this URL, it might not work as of this moment because this is still in provisioning state. So let me try this. It'll show the site can't be reached, right? So let's wait for this certificate to be provisioned. And I know this is the third time we are doing this. First time we did it manually, second time we did it using Terraform, but through our CLI over here, we wrote Terraform init plan and apply commands, right? So this time we are using the CI/CD pipeline, right, which is this one, and it is doing the same thing. So it will take some time for this to provision, and once this is done, after 2-3 minutes, then the website should also be up. But I just wanted to share this with you because as you now can understand, how a journey should look like for a DevOps engineer who is just trying to get into this role, right? So basically we started with getting to understand the cloud basics. We started with Google Cloud and we deployed a globally scalable web service in 3 different regions. We front-ended it with a load balancer. We created DNS records, etc. We created SSL certificates so that the website traffic comes on HTTPS rather than just plain old insecure HTTP. And then we took this example and then created a Terraform code for it, right? And then the Terraform, we looked at modules, the various modules that were there. We used the modules, and then we also looked at the template files that we are using, etc. Right? So that was a good place to get our hands dirty with Terraform. Now the third thing that we are doing is automating everything using a CI/CD tool. In this case, GitHub Actions. But you can use GitLab CI or Jenkins or Travis CI or anything of your choice, right? But here we looked at how to write a production grade Terraform pipeline where we are not committing directly to main, but we are first creating a pull request, then running Terraform plan, and then once that particular branch is merged to main after approval and appropriate reviews, then we are running Terraform apply, right? So that's the idea. And I hope at this particular point of time, you would have gotten, a good understanding of all these concepts. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below, and I would be happy to answer them. Okay, so now after waiting 6 to 7 minutes, the certificate is active. Now from the previous videos, you'd know that if I just quickly go ahead and hit refresh, this will not work. It again takes 2 minutes to propagate that certificate to the entire internet. So let's wait another 2 minutes and then refresh this website, and that should work. Okay, after waiting 2 minutes and hitting refresh, this worked, and you would know this quote from Interstellar, very famous quote, and the website is working awesome. Okay, so with that, I think we are at the end of this video. I hope this would have given you a good idea of how to take something from ideation, write a Terraform code for it, and then create a CI/CD pipeline and automate everything. Now if I have to just do any particular change, right, I'll just go ahead and then modify something over here and then do a commit to dev. Then the Terraform plan will run, someone will approve it, I will merge it, and then once after merging, that particular resource will be applied through this particular pipeline. So that's a pipeline. I'll leave the link of this particular GitHub repo in the description below. You can clone it or fork it and then try it for yourself, and I highly recommend to get your hands dirty because otherwise you'll not be able to learn as much as you can. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, hit a like button and share this video with your friends who are getting into DevOps or who are aspiring to become DevOps engineer. And if you want to see more amazing videos or tutorial like this, subscribe to this channel. And if you like this video, then you'll also like this video where I am talking about why DevOps engineers should speak at conferences. So hope to see you at the other side. Until then, you get to live, make the most out of it. Thank you for watching.